I'd like to share a few thoughts about hell. I made a video in kind of a slideshow format a while ago, and I'd like to just maybe expand a little on that. There's a lot of controversy and confusion surrounding the subject of hell, and before I share my thoughts, I'd just like to establish kind of like a foundational thought. God is a God of love, and everything that God does is motivated by the fact that He is love. Would a loving God burn a person or people in a place of torment forever and ever? Would a loving God cast people into a place of torment to burn forever and ever? Often people use the story of the rich man and Lazarus found in Luke chapter 16 to support their ideas of hell. Now, I've heard it described that as heaven and hell are described in that particular portion of scripture is how they actually are. So imagine the rich man and Lazarus have totally opposite lives on earth. To cut a long story short, they both die. The poor man finds himself in Abraham's bosom, the Jewish name for I suppose heaven, and the rich man finds himself in the opposite place. Now, down here we have the rich man in hell, supposedly. Up here we have the poor man in heaven, supposedly. Now, we see that the rich man calls up to Abraham, who is holding the poor man in his bosom, asking if it would be possible for him to be relieved with a bit of water, maybe. Now, Abraham replies back to the rich man, and there's some dialogue going on between hell and between heaven. Now, imagine if we were to accept that the story described in Luke 16 were a literal account of heaven and hell. Now, heaven is a place where people will be, as the scripture says, eternally happy. Now, people say that hell is a place where people will be eternally punished. Now, here are people in heaven, here are people in hell. The same way Abraham could look down in the story described in Luke chapter 16, isn't that the same way those who enter into heaven can look down also at the people down here in hell? Imagine, well, let me kind of put into perspective what I'm trying to say. Not all of your loved ones, not all of my loved ones will make it to heaven. If we teach that they will then, because of their missing out on heaven, if we teach that they will then burn in hell forever in this place here, when we're in heaven, God willing, how will we be happy forever knowing that just over yonder, if we look down, we can see our loved ones burning in hell forever? Would heaven be heaven if this were a reality? What is the story of the rich man and Lazarus really teaching? We know from the Gospels that the leadership of Israel had a problem. Their problem was the fact that Messiah had come to them and they didn't see any need to be saved. They didn't see that He came for them. They didn't see that they were basically sinners. So they felt for some reason that they were beyond saving because they were already saved. Now, why did they think that? Basically, one of the reasons why they thought that was because they were of the lineage of Abraham and believed because they had Abraham's blood flowing through their veins that they were basically saved already without really any surrender to Messiah. In fact, they even went as far as to reject Messiah. And that was something that Jesus was trying to show them by telling the story of the rich man and Lazarus. He wanted to show them that regardless of who their forefathers were, their only entrance, or the only way that they could gain entrance into the kingdom, would be through Jesus Christ, the same way as the poor man had entered. Now, Christ is no respecter of persons. Rich man, poor man, strong man, weak man, black man, white man, whatever man, or whatever that man's status, Christ will accept them. Regardless of who their peers are, who they are in church, how much money they've got, Christ will accept them the same. And that's what Christ is basically trying to teach people through the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. Because you're on the church books, it doesn't mean that you are guaranteed a ticket to the kingdom. It doesn't mean that you can sit back and relax thinking that because I'm on the church books I'm saved and I'm just waiting for Christ to come, because when he comes I'll enter into his rest with him. It doesn't work like that. The same way as in Israel's day there were people who believed that they were saved simply because of position and status, is the same way that there are people in church today who believe that because they're in church they're guaranteed a position in heaven. It's not that simple. In order to gain heaven, we must surrender ourselves 100% to Messiah and his will. Please share your comments and thoughts, and pray for me as I pray for you, and God bless you all.